Welcome to the podcast. This is Speaking Of. I'm your host, Eric Petty, as always, hostess with the mostest. Today on the show, we have Dr. David Stehlik. Give it up. At the beginning of every podcast, we do a little portion of this called Three Questions. Yay! Is your last name a typo?
Is my last name a typo?
Yeah, how?
No, it actually means golden finch. It's a Czech name.
Really? That's the best answer I think I've ever heard on that. Let's see. You're currently on a 10-month contract as a full-time faculty here, right?
That's correct.
Why are you here today?
Because you asked me to be on the podcast.
Because you've been hanging around the school here for, well, I see you almost every day, as a matter of fact.
Why am I here this summer?
Yeah.
Well, I'm working on a textbook. I'm finishing it up. The text portion of the book is finished, but I'm recording videos, case study videos for the book, ancillary type activity book.
What's the title of your book?
Crafting Strategy, Practicing Case Activities.
By
David Stehlik.
Oh, that's right. Just making sure, give you the full-on promotion.
I'm the sole author. There's no other
There's
author.
no ghost writer on this?
No.
You're like the James Patterson of textbook creation or anything like that? Because he doesn't write his own books.
Oh, does he not?
No, he comes up, I guess, he comes with his idea. That's why he puts a book out every month. Somebody else writes them for him.
I thought he was just that good.
No.
Well, I mean, I didn't because I would assume he's that good. But with AI, you can speed this process up quite a bit.
Quite a bit. We'll talk about that. I got a little bit of something I'm working on too, which I'll tell you about that. Has anybody ever told you look a little bit like French Stewart? Do you know what French Stewart is? You ever watched Third Rock from the Sun years ago?
I'm familiar with the reference, but I did not watch it.
It's a good show. John, you ever watch that?
Yeah.
Doesn't he?
Yeah.
It's a good thing. Very talented actor. And a good guy.
Hey,
A steward of the world.
it's
Let's move on to new things. Today we're going to be talking about artificial intelligence, which is really interesting because I don't have any intelligence. We're fully aware of that.
I deny that.
That's what I've been told. Actually, quite a bit of times, whatever. So I want to talk to you about AI. You're doing a lot of work with that. What are you doing? What's been your interest initially in artificial intelligence, AI?
Well, initially it had to do with entrepreneurship. So for the last 15 years, at least, the marketing world has been using some form of artificial intelligence. I mean, you see this in social media. How do they curate a feed? It's a form of artificial intelligence. Either it's machine learning, they're working, with neural networks. There are different approaches to solving problems, and these large data-rich problems that are very manually intensive and really not scalable without this new advancement. And the advancement is essentially like with a cell phone. You now have 10,000, a million servants in your pocket, right? You can pull up a calculator app and it can do things faster than you'd be able to do, and faster perhaps than an entire, division at NASA could have done, 80 years ago or something.
Right.
Well, the reference may be off in terms of the time and so forth.
You're not
right
you're not far off though.
But with my interest, it was marketing in particular. There were groups who were working on what's called like ad copy. So you go to a website and it tells you all about kind of how great a product is. And that text is ad copy. And there were tools that were being developed scraping the internet of ad copy and then learning how to replicate the sense of writing for people who are trying to sell new products and services, rather than write, 10,000 words from scratch. Take the form of hundreds of thousands of words that other people had used to replicate something similar for your own product and service. Not the features perhaps, but the format of how do you, hook the audience to your webpage? How do you start promoting and evangelizing your product features and benefits to solve the customer's problem.
So
So I was getting interested in this. And
it's using the questions that we're asking about the products. Like, does it do this, and it's modifying either the product itself, or it's modifying the search parameters, or what's it using?
At the time, it's not like what you have today with large language models. These are developments now that have occurred, but these were not what existed. What existed essentially were macros. You think of an Excel macro, it's just running the same task as you, but it's running it faster without you having to be involved in the process because you've recorded the steps. And so essentially you start establishing the process for writing similar copy. We need a opener, we need a hook, we need a product benefits section, we need a are you facing these challenges section, we need a form for input of visitor data, your email. We need a format that we can replicate, a template, right? So you're in a classroom and students ask you inevitably, tell me or show me what a good example of this looks like. Mm-hmm. That's a form of artificial intelligence. I'm not creating it from scratch. I'm giving you an example that can speed up your replication of some good kind of work.
Do you think that speeds up the process that much? Is it just augmenting it a little bit? Instead of coming from scratch, let's say, we'll take Edison. Even though he didn't invent the light bulb, he perfected it. But he had some concept of it. Instead of tinkering around with it, what does it say, 3,000 times? Is that what he did to perfect the light bulb? Instead, now you have, well, let's take the last two now. So you can eliminate all that other stuff. It's kind of eliminating all the noise for people now.
It's making it invisible. So if you want to think about it like craftsmanship and apprenticeship, right?
Okay.
You don't become, and this is interesting because these are some other areas that I'm interested in thinking about now with regard to the classroom and pedagogy, but you don't become a master after three attempts.
Right.
It takes this apprenticeship through a journeyman, through finally maybe becoming a master craftsman. And you think about it in the martial arts, right? And the idea of getting a black belt, often in some kind of oriental martial art, the idea is that once you become the black belt, you don't become a master of expertise, you become an expert master of the basics.
That's a good way to look at that.
You have the fundamentals under control. And I think with AI, what we're seeing is that process of mastery development made invisible and shortened before your eyes, because all of the training happens in millions of iterations in server racks.
So now when it comes to business, then we're looking at opportunities to eliminate a lot of precursor, eliminating in a lot of ways prototyping, all the things that go along with that, so we can actually streamline, cut down expenses, get to product quicker.
Yes, get to product quicker, or get to the creation of solutions quicker, or get to the creation of quality communication about what you've developed quicker. You think about an organization that doesn't spend any money on marketing and sales originally, because they're only focused on research and development and product development. Well, at some point, they've got to sell their product or service. And if they haven't hired anyone in marketing and in sales, copywriting, then they either have to build that capacity internally. Someone all of a sudden has to become a marketer, or you have to hire someone and you have to bring that competency in-house. Well, organizations are saying to themselves, if we have people who are moderately okay at doing some of that work, then if we support them with these tools that can take them faster to okay work, so that they can either upskill from okay work to great work really fast, meaning they can skip a lot of training activity, or we can take someone who's brand new out of college, or maybe doesn't even have a college degree, and we can put them at equivalence with someone who's got a college degree in terms of output, not in terms of what's in their head, not in terms of the iterative development of becoming an apprentice, journeyman, and then becoming a master of basics, but we we give them the approximation of that kind